Do you have items in your craft stash that are neglected and unused, but you can't bear to get rid of them? Welcome to Use It or Lose It, a weekly YouTube series where I'll dive into the products that you have lying around in your craft room and the products I have lying around in mine. After I've created something, I'll decide if I think I'll use it again or if it needs to give up that precious space in my stash, and I hope you'll play along. Hey there, it's Jen, and welcome to another episode of Use It or Lose It. Today we're going to talk about sequins, and sequins are one of the things that I have collected a lot of because they're so inexpensive and they're just pretty and fun and sparkly, but I don't always remember to pull them out. They're the perfect finishing touch to a layout, but today I want to show you how you can really feature them and make them the star of your layout. So I first wanted to show you how I store my sequins. I made these little, it's like a dowel basically, a dowel screwed into a circle, and I made these one day. They're not like super pretty or anything. I painted them really quickly with acrylic white paint so that they would look decent, and then I have them stored in these little, they're called Creative Options. They're from Creative Options, these little storage things that by color basically. And I like this kind of storage because I can open one section at a time and get the sequins out, whereas I have had them in the boxes, like the kind of jewelry boxes before, where you open the lid and everything's open and things tend to get mixed up. So this way I found all my sequins stay put where they're meant to be, and it's easier for me to go through and find them. So you can see I have a lot of sequins, and I have them in color order. So those are pinks, these are purples and blues, bluey greens, greens and yellows, and then reds and oranges, which I have the least of. And then on this side I have like white and silver. Here's gold. Here's some more gold. This is black and white. These are multicolored, and so are these. So they're not all full. I still have room if I get another sequin mix from somewhere that I want to stick in here, because I do have sequin mixes that are from other companies. Like this is a Felicity Jane set of sequins that I got once in a kit, and so there's multiple colors mixed in together. So I do have sequin mixes in here as well. So just wanted to show you how I store my sequins before we get into this video about using sequins. And the other thing that I wanted to tell you is that with this video, I have a free cut file for you. So let me move these to the side and show you what that cut file is. This is the photo I'm going to be scrapbooking today of me and my daughter, and the cut file is summer themed. I'll put it on this black background so you can see what it looks like. It is a background and it has lots of open spaces, and what I'm going to be doing today is basically filling those open spaces with sequins. So that's kind of the idea for this. I'll have a link in the video description where you can download this, and I'll also share the link in my Crafty Use It or Lose It Facebook group. Be sure to join us over there for more inspiration from lots of people. And that's where I'm starting on this one today. So I'm also going to be using my new Big High Five stamp set a little bit as well, so you'll see that too. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on fast forward and get started and talk you through my process. Alright, so I'm going to start by holding my cut file over my paper and just kind of tracing the areas, the open areas where I want to put the sequins. And this is going to help me know where to place them when I am adding all of those sequins. So here I am with my sequins out, and I'm trying to decide which colors I want to use. And I kind of want to do a rainbow, but I don't use all the colors of the rainbow. So I'm going to go with blues and greens and yellows, and then there's a little bit of orange at the bottom. And I'm just kind of looking through my different sequin colors and mixes here to decide what I want to put where, and just kind of placing that on my paper right now. I will say that I had sequins all over my desk during this process, but that's because I'm messy. You could be more clean about it, but I just wasn't. So it's fun to use all of these different colors, and it uses up a lot. Like if you have these little containers, I used up almost an entire little, I don't know what that is, not a cube, but like one of those little spaces, those little openings that the sequins are in. I used almost an entire one of those orange ones that I'm gluing down now. So I started by using my Nuvo glue here, and it works really well. It holds really nicely. But after this, I decided to use some double-sided red tape. So you'll see that here in a minute. But the glue works really well, and it's probably, well, it might be more cost effective, but yeah, I'm just using my fingers for now, but I will also in a minute grab my little jewel picker, and that helps a little bit too. So I will show you that here too. I'm not gonna have you watch the entire process of me sticking down the sequins because that would be quite boring. But I do want to show you here. I'm putting down the tape, and then I'm just kind of globbing on the sequins. You can just basically, if you want to, you can just dump them on and have them all be kind of crazy on there. And I did that on some of them, and on some of them I spread them out perfectly. So I don't know. It just depends what you want to do. You can see that I'm only adding the sequins in the areas that are going to be open because I just feel like it's a waste of my time to do it in the entire area. But I do decide that the red line tape works well, and I'm going to go ahead and use that for the rest of the page. And you can see I've got my yellow ones in there, and now I'm going to my green, and I am using my jewel picker. It does help to pick up those sequins and lay them down nicely. So I'm still using my hand too. It's not a perfect process, but it works just fine. So every once in a while I will bring my cut file and kind of hold it over the sequins just to make sure that I don't have any kind of white spaces or any open spaces that need to be filled. And if I do, I'll just go ahead and put a sequin there. And so that is helpful as well. I don't know if I mentioned it at the beginning of the video, but most of my sequin mixes, I've gotten them all different places. I've gotten some online. I've gotten some just at the craft store. I've gotten some at Walmart. You can get sequins anywhere, and they're really cheap. So I also have a bunch of mixes from Spiegel Mom Scraps, who I did a guest design post for her once, and she sent me some sequin mixes. This green one is one of those. And so she has a lot of great options too. So I got kind of lazy towards the end, and here you can see me just kind of pressing on all of these blue sequins. I just kind of like dropped a whole bunch on and then pressed them down, and then I'm filling in the spaces where they just didn't grab on. And so yeah, I did get a little bit lazy. And you can see that in that green, or that kind of seafoam colored area, I used some small sequins and some larger sequins, so you can mix things up if you want to. I kept most of mine, well, most of the sections are using the same color. Look how good that looks when I hold the cut file over it. Most of my sections are pretty much the same sequin, but there are a few that are mixed up, so either way works totally fine. And don't forget that you can get this cut file for free. I will link it in the video description and also over in my Facebook group. If you are not a part of the Facebook group, head over there because there are lots of people posting stuff all the time. It's very inspirational and awesome, and people are very encouraging, which I love. So I'm just working on my last little section here of some blue sequins. I'm using a darker blue. So here it is all finished, and I slowed it down so you could see all of that sparkle and prettiness. I've just rested the cut file on top. I haven't adhered it yet, but look at that. So pretty. It is very sparkly in real life. So before I glue this down, I'm thinking about what I want my title to be, and I'm thinking Summer Joys would be good. I wanted to talk about how it's been nice having my daughter home and that she's just fun to hang out with. So I'm using some Felicity Jane Puffy stickers, and I'm trying to decide between the aqua ones and the white ones. And I kind of like the idea of using the white ones to kind of continue with the word summer, so it feels like it's more connected because the word summer is in white. You could, of course, cut this cut file out in any color that you want to. You could even, I thought about watercoloring it so that the color of the cut file matched the sequins, but I just decided to leave it white. But yeah, I go ahead with the white letters, and I'm going to have my title be Summer Days. these are some little rubber shapes from Ali Edwards that I thought I might include on this layout, but I decided against it. And now what I'm going to do is back my cut file with some foam. So I'm only putting foam on the spaces that aren't covered in sequins, and I'm letting the sequins hold up the inner spaces. So you can see that here. And then I'm adding some double-sided tape to my foam because I'm using fun foam. It would be a lot easier if you used regular like foam adhesive squares, but I'm being cheap because I'm using a lot of foam. I just wanted to use my fun foam. So that's what's going on there. So now I have it all on there and all of the adhesive is on, and I'm just going to hold it over my page and push that down, and that looks great. I'm so happy with the way that this turned out. I kind of held it up and shook it to see if any sequins fell off, and just to make sure everything was glued down okay. I'm trying to glue down that M on Summer just a little bit so that it doesn't pop up. And now I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. So what I decided to do was stamp by color. And so I'm going to, well, the stamp is just sitting there for now because I'm thinking I want to put a little bit of vellum behind my photo. I wanted to do a photo mat, but I didn't want to add a lot of patterned paper. I really wanted the focus to be on the sequins. And so I'm just using vellum, which gives it just a little bit of something, but it doesn't like distract you from anything. So just putting my photo on that vellum, and I'm going to kind of tuck it up underneath the word summer a little bit. And then what I'm doing now is finding a block to stamp on, and I'm using that big high five stamp set, and I'm using some Ali Edwards inks. This is Columbia, I think, or maybe not. I can't remember. Anyway, I'm stamping best day ever, and in parentheses it says, not really, but it was pretty great. And I'm also going to stamp a bunch of other things. So I'm using my Here For It stamp set, and I'm going to stamp Love, Love, Love in yellow. So you can see I'm stamping the same color below that color of sequin. So the Love, Love, Love is in yellow beneath the yellow section with the suns, and I will stamp something in orange by the orange. That one's actually above it, but this one is from the Here For It stamp set as well. And if I would have thought about it, I would have stamped these before I glued it down, but I didn't. And there's foam under most of it, so it ends up working pretty well. But there are some spaces that don't get stamped perfectly, and I'm okay with it. I also stamped You Are My Rainbow from the My Rainbow stamp set, which is actually sold out now. And I'm just looking to see what else I might want to include. I'm going to stamp a little phrase from my Go With The Flow stamp set, which is a 3x4 stamp set. It's still available in my shop too. And you could use any word stamps that you wanted to. You could even use word stickers, whatever you want. You definitely don't have to have those specific stamps, but if you want them, I will link to them. So I'm going to go ahead and add the word days onto my photo. And as I added it on, I felt like it wasn't standing out very well, but I leave it for now, and I will end up changing it by the end of the video. So now I'm thinking it would be fun to use all of the arrows in the big high five stamp set to stamp next to the phrases. So I'm using the giant one there, and then I'm going to use a different one next to each phrase just to kind of bring a little attention to it, and also just because I wanted to use the arrows. I just think they're fun. So that's what I'm doing now in all of those different Ali Edwards ink colors. I like Ali Edwards inks, and Close to My Heart inks are the other ones that I love. So those two I have close to me on my desk, and I use them a lot. So here is the Honeyman ink color, the yellow, which is a nice kind of mustardy yellow. I could have gone for something more bright, but I felt like that worked, and I had it right next to me. So that blue I'm using is Bluebird from Close to My Heart, and it's a nice like royal blue. And now I'm ready to embellish. So I couldn't decide what I wanted to do for embellishment at first, so I decided to hurry and do my journaling, and I'm just going to write on some of the white spaces that are between the lines of sequins, and I wanted to match my pen to the color. So I'm using some Arteza pens that I have, and just matching the color there. And I like the way that looks. I thought about using yellow, but the yellow was it wasn't going to show up. Yellow writing isn't very dark, right? So I decided to go with orange instead, or like this darker mustardy yellow. And so I'm writing with that one now. And I just wrote a couple lines of journaling, and that ended up working out really well. And I like that it has the journaling on there, but doesn't take away from the design. So if you're wanting to put your journaling on a layout where you can't quite decide where it goes, kind of try to fit it in with the lines of your design, or you can write around the border of the layout. I stamped the date there, and now I'm going to do a little bit of embellishing. And CJ, my bestie, is sitting here next to me. She's actually backing this cut file with sequins too. But I just got this sticker book from Crate Paper. It's the new Crate Paper sticker book, and so I'm using that to do some embellishing. And I wanted to do it by color. That's another way to not take away from all of the work that you did, was to embellish by color, so that you don't, like, it all kind of blends in together, but there's still some interest going on. So I'm just looking through and trying to figure out what I might want to use. I put the number 2 in the center of one of the suns just to represent the two of us, and there's a little July because that's the date of the photo, and some little hearts. I'm just kind of flipping through, figuring out what might be cute. I do add that yellow heart, but I will pull it off before the end of the video. But the blue one stays. I love that blue heart. So now I'm looking at some puffy stickers because I wanted something that wasn't just a flat sticker. And so I'm looking at these Amy Tangerine stickers, and I add a couple of these little puffy flowers and a camera. Those are super cute. I love those. That's from her, not her latest collection, but the one previous to it. So it's called, I don't know what it's called, but it's cute. It has hedgehogs. And then I'm adding some Maggie Holmes little charms, and I'm doing that by color as well. I thought I would pull out some of my embellishments that sit in a drawer called miscellaneous, which means they're not a sticker, they're not a puffy sticker, they're not chipboard, they're something else. And I had these Maggie Holmes flowers, and I decided to add those. And then I'm looking at some brads, which I don't end up including. And I'm, again, looking at some more puffy stickers. So I had these little bows from a Maggie Holmes, the Chasing Dreams puffy stickers. And I'm thinking about adding some of those. At this point, I kind of decide that the word days is not sticking out enough. And so I grabbed a piece of scrap paper from my scrap drawer, and it's just a little subtle polka dot pattern, and I'm gonna go ahead and put the word days on that. And I couldn't decide if I wanted it to line up with the photo, because the photo's a little bit angled, or if I wanted it to line up straight, like with the word days. And I decided, since it was an extension of the word, like the word summer, since it was adding to the title summer, I wanted it to be straight as well. So I ended up straightening that out. So it doesn't line up with the photo, it lines up with the words. And I'm just looking for a few kind of finishing touches here, just going through a bunch of random stuff in my stash. I grabbed these hearts out from Pink Fresh Studio, and I used a couple of the orange ones, and because I didn't have very much going on the orange. And then I also add some more hearts just kind of randomly around. And I'm getting close to finishing here, but I'm feeling like I need something on the green area, so that's what I'm looking for now, because I only have one little thing on there, which is a little tiny heart. And so I found a little flower, and I found this word that says, I can't remember. Oh, it says here. It's a puffy sticker from Felicity Jane, but I decided against it. It just didn't quite work. I don't know. So I'm still kind of looking around for what I might want to use. And I did pull that puffy heart sticker from Felicity Jane to use on it. So that's going to complete this layout. Here are some close-up photos of all that sequiny goodness. And I have lots of more examples coming up for you, so stay till the end of the video so you can see all of those. But again, here are the close-up photos and the full layout that I created today. Backing a cut file is a great way to use sequins. Here I've stitched the sequins in a line on the background, and I've also added in some tassels where I was stitching, so that's a fun way to use sequins, is to stitch them down. It is a little bit labor intensive, but it's worth it. On this one I created a border as well. It's kind of at the very bottom of the layout. You can see half of a sequin poking out. I actually cut my sequins in half and made a little border with them. So that's another way that you can create a border with sequins. Another great way, and that you've probably seen a lot of people use, is to create a shaker pocket. So here I've created one on a card, just using a piece of like a pocket page. And then this is another one on a layout. This is from my Out of the Pocket series on YouTube, but I just created a pocket on the back of my layout and filled it with sequins. And this layout is a tag that has an opening, and it's filled with sequins there at the bottom. You can also sprinkle sequins around in a wreath shape. This one I've just added the sequins to the wreath, but you could, like I used in my buttons use it or lose it episode, you could use sequins for this instead and create a whole circle. You can also use sequins just as the center of a flower, just a small little accent here. I really love the way that they pop on these flowers though. And you can also just use them in the center of any sort of embellishment. So here I've just added a few to the center of some circles on this layout. So really simple to use as a quick embellishment. You can use them anywhere that you would use an enamel dot as well. Here I've just sprinkled them on the background of a couple of cards in this pocket page. So a nice scattering. And then on this one, you can see another little scattering all up and down the layout. And it kind of looks like raindrops because there's clouds on there. So I love using sequins as an embellishment, and I hope you do too. So will you take up the challenge? Join us on Facebook in the Crafty Use It or Lose It group and tag your photos on social media, #CraftyUseItOrLoseIt. Can't wait to see what you create. So what do you have to use or lose? Leave a comment and you may see it in an upcoming episode. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future Use It or Lose It videos. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again next week.